Hello guys, this is your friend Narutofix and we are back with a new fanfic. What if Naruto became the Hidden Leaf's deadliest ANBU and married Kurenai, part. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel Narutofix 11 for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. It was 10th of October. The day the village celebrated the defeat of the most feared demon. The Kyuubi no Kitsune. Naruto Uzumaki was only 12 years yet here was getting beaten by the same villagers he promised his Gigi that he would protect. He didn't do anything wrong when this man came up to him said the Hokage wanted to see him. When the boy was about to turn around and follow the man, he suddenly felt darkness claim him. When he woke up he was pinned to a cross with wooden spikes driven through his hands. Why are you doing this to me? Naruto cried out. Unfortunately his cries only spurred the villager on even more. You dare ask why, you little bastard, I'll kill you, cried the man. He raised a sword over his head. Naruto looked around trying to find a way out but his teachers at the academy always sent him out for being disruptive so he didn't have any knowledge on how to get out of situations like this. Naruto closed his eyes and focused on the energy he felt inside and directed it towards the man in front. Oh. F him. The wooden spikes shot out of his hands and hit the man in the eyes making him cry out in pain. Naruto's body fell to the ground but he had not stopped channeling the energy so when his hand hit the ground they sprouted plant roots and wrapped around the assailant making him struggle but the vines didn't let go. The man stopped struggling when the roots loosened but regretted it as the roots tightened and this time with more force. Just when the ANBU were going to interfere, the roots started constricting around the man. Finally it ended in a shower of blood. The ANBU, the leader who had gravity-defying hair, picked up Naruto and took him to the hospital while he sent Deer to report to the Hokage. Hokage's office. Hokage-sama. Quote, the Sandaime groaned as he looked up wearily. It was 10 o'clock, he had just finished all of his paperwork for the day, and he'd expected to be able to go home and snatch a few hours of blessed Ika paradise before having to return to his desk. Unfortunately, it seemed that Kami had taken a perverse pleasure in denying him holy book. Yes, what is? He trailed off as he looked at the doorway. Standing there was an ANBU, face covered by a deer mask. From his build, the Hokage could clearly tell that it was a man, but that was not the only thing he could tell from the man's body. The knuckles clenched so hard they had turned white, the small trembles, the slightly shaking voice, all this spoke a clear message. This man was terrified. We have a situation regarding you Uzumaki Naruto. Dread washed over the Sandaime as he leapt to his feet. What's happened? Has there been another attack? Yes. How is he? Quote, he's in the hospital, being treated for blood loss and exhaustion, but Hokage-sama. His attacker. The Sandaime looked at the ANBU sternly, ready to issue an order for the man to spend some quality time with Morino Ibiki. Who was it? We can't tell, he's dead. The Sandaime felt no sadness at this, only surprise. How did he die? Why can't you identify him? The ANBU took a deep breath. Hokage-sama, I think you should see for yourself. Quote, now death sight. It was horrible. The only way to describe the man was that he was one of Orochimaru's experiments gone wrong. The body was mangled beyond recognition. The only way to identify the man was through a blood test and with the medic nins around it was easy but the roots did not want to let him go. The Hokage looked at the body with disdain and orders the ANBU to burn his body and remove all evidence of this incident. The council must not know about this incident, thought Sarutobi. Oh and dear-san please burn the roots and tell Tenzo, Yamato, to meet me in the hospital. Hospital. The Sandaime walked in followed by Inu and Tora. Hello Naruto, how are you feeling? The Sandaime greeted the boy. Naruto looked up at him with a hollow smile. I feel great Gigi. Like every time I get beaten. It feels fantastic to know that you are protecting me. The Sandaime looked down with shame but before he could utter any words Naruto cut him off. Gigi, I will ask one last time and I know you have lied to me before or just avoided my question. I want to know who my parents are and why the villagers hate me. Quote, the Hokage was about to retort when Naruto said, you will tell me or I will leave the village. It's up to you now decide whether you will tell me or not. The Sandaime was in a tight spot. Should he tell Naruto or risk him leaving Konohagakure no Sato? Sighing, he decided to do what was right. Naruto, what I'm about to tell you will not leave this room. Do you understand? Naruto nodded quickly. The Hokage did some hand seals and slammed his palm onto the wall of the hospital room. Sealing jutsu, Vault of Secrets. The sound of a steel door closing and locking was heard before the Hokage continued. Now Naruto, you have to understand that these are highly classified secrets. No one knows them apart from me and Jiraiya, my students. Firstly, the issue of the villagers hating you is because of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. It is sealed inside of you because you were born on that day. As for why you were chosen out of the other children is because the Yondaime was a noble person and could not ask anyone else to give up the child. Your father's full name was Minato Namikaze the Yellow Flash. As for your mother, her name was Kushina Uzumaki the Red Hot-Blooded Habanero. Your heritage was not revealed to you because of your own safety. The village could not go through another war with a Wagaku or Kumogaku. Please Naruto, I beg you, don't hate the villagers. They are ignorant and don't know the difference between a container and its prisoner. The Sandaime was now on his knees, bowing his head down. Fine, I will do as you say. After all, I am the son of the Yellow Flash, but I have a few more questions and I want to lay down some conditions for me to stay loyal to you and only you, Naruto stated with emphasis on the word loyal. The Hokage nodded furiously. Okay, my first question is, what did I do to make those roots grow out of the floor? Naruto, that was the Shodaime's bloodline unique to only him. It is called the Mokuton or wood style. It is said that he used his bloodline to create the forest that now surrounds Konohagakure no Sato. How do I have it? I currently don't know, but my theory is that the Uzumakis and the Senjus were closely related. It is possible that the relationship between a Senju and an Uzumaki occurred so he wood style was passed on. Okay, my last question is, can anyone teach me how to use this bloodline or any instructions that were left behind in case this bloodline had shown up again? Well, this is the reason Inu and Tora are here. I've decided that their ANBU squad will take you for 3 years and train to be a ninja and all arts in including Kenjutsu and the basic theory of the Ninja Academy. My student Jiraiya will teach you Fuinjutsu and anything else he considers that will be valuable. Okay, my first condition is that I want to be moved into a new house. My old one has been broken into and robbed many times. I want this one to be protected from intruders. My second condition is that I want to reveal to my heritage to anyone I trust. My third and final condition is that if I come back from training and I'm attacked again, I will not hesitate to harm the person, be it a civilian or NJA, and leave the village without any obligations that bring me back or relate me to this village. Alright, I will agree to those conditions. You will be leaving in 2 weeks. In this time space you will be escorted around by one of my personal guards called Neko. Timeskip. 2 weeks later. The Chunins at the West Gate woke up feeling someone using Shushin to arrive. Good to see you awake, Izumo-san and Koketsu-san, Tora said with sarcasm. The two Chunins turned to see an ANBU squad standing there. Suddenly the Hokage arrived with Naruto. Over the week Naruto had gotten a new set of clothes consisting of a blue sleeveless shirt and black cargo pants. The Sandaime started introductions. Alright Naruto, these are the people who will be teaching you for the next 3 years. Tora here is the only other person in the village that can use wood style aside from you. Inu is our ninjutsu specialist and has learned over 1,000 justus. Neko is our kenjutsu and genjutsu specialist, and finally Turtle is our taijutsu specialist and survival specialist. Jiraiya will join you halfway through your training trip. Now Naruto, I want you to behave for these people. They are giving up the personal time for you, my boy. Listen to what they say and follow their orders. Is that understood? Hi Gigi, I will see you in 3 years. Naruto gave the Hokage a quick hug and walked towards the ANBU squad. Take care of him, you four, the Hokage said sternly before using Shushin to go back to his office and start working on his paperwork. Tora picked Naruto up and put him on his back. Inu turned to the squad and nodded. The squad disappeared from view. Konoha's forest. 4 figures traveling at high speeds through the trees. Anybody watching would only see black blurs. After a while the figures dropped down to walk at a normal pace to approach the clearing. The person at the front is wearing an Inu mask. Gravity-defying silver hair nodded at Tora, who set Naruto down and started doing some hand seals. Wood style, 4-pillar house technique. As soon as Tora said those words, the ground fell apart to give way to the wooden pillars. As the process went on, the house formed into a house you would see in a civilian part of town. The front of the house had the leaf insignia. The front of the house had small platform just above the ground surrounded by a fence, traditional Japanese sliding door. Leading inside, everything was made up of wood. The house had the basic need: a living room, a kitchen, a bathroom and 5 bedrooms. The squad moved into the living room and sat down after everyone was settled down. Inu started introducing himself and took off his mask. the only way to describe his expression is bored. Alright, my name is Kakashi. My likes are my Ika books and training. My dislikes are something you wouldn't understand. My hobbies are training and reading my Ika books. As for my dreams, I don't think you are the suitable age to know that. Quote, now this kind of introduction would have been normal if it had not been for the multiple bouts of perverse giggling and lazy tone of voice. Naruto looked at the man as if he was losing his mind when suddenly a question popped into head. What's Ika? Now Kakashi, being ignorant of the killing intent directed at him by the lone female member, decided to describe it to Naruto. Okay Naruto, when a guy and a girl love each a lot, they decide to have fun. At this point Neko decided that she should knock Kakashi out so that Naruto does not get any ideas or becomes a mini Kakashi and starts reading those little orange books. While this event occurred, the rest of the squad had massive sweat drops at the back of their heads. Back with Neko, who looked like a mini Shinganami, her Tanato representing the death god's knife, and Kakashi, who is now a twitching mess on the floor. At this point Naruto thought it would be best to stay on the woman's good side. Tora stood up next. Okay, now that Kakashi-senpai is done with his giggling, I will continue. My name is Yamato. My likes are bonsai trees and training. My dislikes are people who are arrogant and people who make jokes about my wood-style jutsu. My hobbies are taking care of my garden and training. My dream is to become an ANBU captain. Naruto thought this man was okay but seemed to have an obsession with trees and wood. Next is Turtle. My name is Mike Guy. My likes are my youthful friends and training to be youthful. My dislikes are unyouthful people whose flames of youth have dimmed. My hobbies are spending time with my youthful friends and doing youthful training. My dream is to pass on my flames of youth to the next generation. Naruto shivered every time this man said, youthful, and was even more freaked out when the man took his mask off to reveal 2 caterpillars on his face. So Naruto did the one thing that came to mind. He screamed. Ah, what's wrong Naruto, my youthful student? Ano, Guy-san, you have something on your face. What is it? It's those freaky things on top of your eyes. When Guy finally caught onto what Naruto was saying and replied. That is a very unyouthful comment Naruto-san. Naruto shivered again. As this conversation between Naruto and Guy went on, Neko and Yamato seemed to get very big sweat drops at the back of their heads, while Kakashi was trying not to laugh out loud. Finally, when everything returned to normal, Neko stood up and started her introduction. My name is Yugao. My likes are spending time with my friends and kenjutsu. My dislikes are arrogant people and perverts. My hobbies are eating dango and practicing kenjutsu. My dream is to become Konoha's kenjutsu mistress. Naruto decided that this woman was perhaps the only normal person on the squad. Finally Naruto decided to introduce himself. My name is Naruto. My likes are ramen and people who don't hate me. My dislikes are the Uchiha clan except for Itachi and people who hate me. My hobbies are playing pranks on people who are mean to me and finding new ways to prank people. My dream is to become a great shinobi like my dad and Gigi. All of the shinobi smiled, knowing if anyone could accomplish this it would be Naruto. The next day. Alright Naruto, now we as your instructors would like to know what type of a ninja you want to be. Kakashi asked. I really don't know. What kind of ninja are there? Naruto asked with confusion. Okay, well, take me for an example. I rely heavily on ninjutsu, which means I use techniques like a fireball or a water dragon. Guy uses taijutsu a lot, so he uses his physical conditioning to harm an opponent. Yamato is both a ninjutsu and taijutsu user, but his speciality is stealth and infiltration, so he has to be very quiet. And finally Yugao uses chakra attacks formed by her sword and uses a kenjutsu style which will help her defeat her opponent using either speed or strength. She also uses illusions to make her opponent confused. Well, I was thinking if I could be specialized in all those things, Naruto replied. Kakashi was baffled for a few seconds before responding. Okay, well, I'll see if we can do this in a year and 6 months, but it seems to be a stretch. Apparently Kakashi's serious demeanor didn't seem to last very long. Suddenly a dark aura surrounded him and he said in a deep voice, let the training begin. Time skip 8th of October. Around about a year, cause they left 2 weeks after his birthday. Over the time he spent with the squad he became more familiar with them, even gave them honorifics that someone would use in a family. He started calling Yugao Ne-chan, he called Kakashi Aniki, he called Gyoji, means uncle, and he called Yamato Ni-san. Naruto was still the smallest out of the group at 157 centimeters tall, but he was still tall for a 13-year-old kid. it was kind of a wonder what proper food could do in the physical training that guy had him do helped him a lot building up his stature. His chakra reserves were high ANBU to low Sanin. His ninjutsu was rated around high Chunin. His chakra control was high Chunin. His kenjutsu was already around Yugao's level, which was saying a lot for his skill since Yugao could match one of the 7 swordsmen of Mist. His genjutsu was still low genin, he just could not fine-tune his control to do genjutsu, although he can still dispel most genjutsu that are used on him and only knows one genjutsu, which is called genjutsu, infinite darkness jutsu, but instead of just blocking he sight of a person, it blocks out the other senses like touch, smell, hearing and chakra sensing. His fuinjutsu is high Chunin because Kakashi didn't know much on the subject. He even remarked that Naruto had surpassed him when he made personalized tags that store chakra attacks in them and launch only when an enemy passed the sensor seals. His taijutsu was low Junin, which is speaking very highly of him since his healing factor kicked in whenever a muscle was torn. It was rebuilt in mere second. This made wearing weights very advantageous since he could have 15x his own weight on his body. ND still walk normally after 10 minutes. Of course this did not deter Guy at all, so he had Naruto use Boulder to weigh him down. Crazy freaking spandex slave driver, Naruto thought bitterly. His Mokuton jutsu were coming along nice, but so far he only had wood style, transformation, wood style, wood clone, wood style, domed wall jutsu, wood style, tree binding and wood style, 4-pillar prison. Yamato said it is good progress because wood style is very hard to control. 10th of October, Naruto's birthday. A wave of dread washed over Naruto as today was his birthday, so he used his limited knowledge to put seal tags in his room and stop anyone coming into his room. He did some hand seals and called out, "Wood style, 4-pillar prison jutsu." He slammed his palm onto the floor. As soon as his palm touched the floor, wood sprouted at an alarming rate before creating a barrier around him and encompassing him and his bed in darkness. At this point he just sat on the bed thinking that the day might finish without the others noticing him. That was proven wrong when his whole room was disassembled. He knew it was Yamato's doing because he was the one that made the house. The only thing that separated them now was the 4-pillar prison, so Naruto just sat there hopelessly staring into the darkness, hoping it would help him escape the war LD of pain he was about to experience. All those hopes were dashed when Yamato pushed his chakra into the prison and dispelled it. Naruto closed his eyes ready to feel pain, but was surprised when he was embraced by the only female member, softly speaking, "Ototo, don't worry, no one's going to hurt you, Yugao." Naruto opened his eyes to see Kakashi with a party hat on his head and a box wrapped in a paper with pictures of dogs on them. Standing next to him was Guy, who was grinning like an idiot. Had the same thing except the wrapping paper was colored green. Yamato stood there with a scroll in his hand and a small smile on his face. Yugao had put her package on the floor. It was very long with shining sliver wrapping paper, but there were 2 people he had not expected. The first person was his Gigi. He had 2 scrolls in his hands, but Naruto didn't recognize the last person. He had large white hair shaped like a mane, a headband with the kanji for oil on it. He also had red lines that ran down from his eyes. He wore a green short shirt, kimono and matching pants, under which he wore mesh armor that showed out of the sleeves and legs of his outfit. His outfit was completed with hand guards, a simple black belt, traditional Japanese getter, a red cloak with 2 simple yellow circles, and a scroll on his back. He had grin on his face and was holding a package with pictures of toads on it. All in all, Naruto never felt happier. He finally knew how it felt to have a family. After Yamato reformed the room, they all left and started getting comfortable in the living room. There was silence. It was kind of awkward. Finally Naruto broke the silence. "Any Gigi, who is this person?" Naruto asked, confused by the tall man's presence. "Naruto, this is Jiraiya. He is my student and was your father's sensei. Now he will be your fuinjutsu teacher and he will teach you your father's jutsu except for the flying thunder god jutsu." Naruto opened his mouth to ask another question but was interrupted by Kakashi. "Now Naruto, save your questions for later and open your presents," Kakashi said in his irritatingly lazy tone of voice. Hi Anakijis, have some patience. At the pace you're walking there'll be a bag of bones." Naruto went over to the presents he found the one Guy was holding. He shivered. If this was a green spandex suit he would burn it and say it was a training accident. He finally gained his senses and opened it only to gasp at the contents. It was nunchakus with ornate golden handles, spiked chain connecting them together with a kanji for golden storm on the end of each handle. It was simple but deadly when used in battle. Naruto just thought it was cool. Naruto, for the next 6 months I will teach you how to handle those in battle. Arigato Oji, Naruto said with his voice laced with happiness. You're welcome my youthful student, Guy said with his million-watt smile. Naruto shivered, he still hadn't gotten used to the word, youthful. Naruto next picked up Yugao's present. It was long but thin. He opened it. Was a katana. It looked simple, a long flat blade with a ceramic handle, but the ceramic was reinforced with seals that constantly pushed chakra into the handle. The seals were concealed by a green dragon engraved into the handle. Push some chakra into it Ototo, Yugao instructed. Naruto did as she told him. The blade glowed green and started extending. It shaped itself into a large SCA-L shape. Before stopping, it was now about as big as Naruto. Despite its size, it was very lightweight. After he retracted his chakra, it went back to its normal size. He gave Yugao a quick hug and moved on to Kakashi's present. It was a square object and looked awful lot like a book. Kakashi and the other started sweating as Yugao glared at the silver-haired man. Yugao thought that Kakashi had given Naruto his Ika book. Everyone was relieved when it was discovered to be a book of sealing by the fourth Hokage. Thanks, Anarchy. No problem, little guy, Kakashi replied. Naruto huffed and looked at him annoyed but smiled and moved on. The next present was from Yamato. It was in a scroll. He opened the scroll and pushed some chakra into the seal. In a puff of smoke appeared a small bonsai plant. You'll have to take care of that on, it's very rare. I had gotten the seedling from the land of tea. Next was the Sandaim's present. There were 2 scrolls. One was very large with a picture of a primate on it. Seeing Naruto's confusion, the Sandaime decided to elaborate. Naruto, that is the summoning scroll for the monkeys. Since my son Asuma didn't want to sign it and my grandson Konohamaru is too young to sign it, so I want you to sign it, in case I don't make it to the age where Konohamaru can sign it. And you to give it to him. I am entrusting you to my family heritage. Naruto got tears in his eyes at this admittance because the Sandaime would give him something so valuable. Moving on to the next scroll, he focused some chakra into the seal. In a puff of smoke there was a bow staff in his hands. It was a simple metal staff, nothing out of the ordinary. The Sandaime decided to explain to Naruto why the staff is so simple. Naruto, I know you have mediocre knowledge of seals, so I want you to experiment with this staff and see if you can do anything to enhance its strength or make it something out of the ordinary. The monkeys will teach you how to wield the staff proficiently. Naruto nodded, happy with the presents he was getting. Next, Jiraiya stepped up and pulled the large scroll of his back. Naruto, it was one of your father's last wishes that I train you. I will be back in next 6 months and you will officially be my apprentice, training to be the next Toad Sage. I will also teach you your father's first technique he ever made, the Rasengan, and I will be teaching you to become a seals master. But for now I want you to sign the Toad contract. This is a very big honor since no person has ever been signed onto 2 contracts. Me and Sarutobi sensei have talked to our summons and they will test you to see if you are worthy of summoning them. If you learn the Rasengan and study all the seals I show you in a year, we will spend the next 6 months training you on Senjutsu. Jiraiya explained what Naruto had to do and signed both the Toad and Monkey contract. Well, now that the presents are opened, let's eat the cake. After a while the Sandaime stated he needed to leave and Jiraiya said that he has to go and manage his spy network. Time skipped 6 months. Okay Naruto, today I'm going to show you how to summon. Here are the seals. Kakashi started. Ball, right pointing arrow, dog, right pointing arrow, bird, right pointing arrow, monkey, right pointing arrow, ram. Summoning jutsu. Okay Naruto, I want you to do the same. Put as much chakra in it as you can to summon the boss. Also think about which animal you will summon. Hi Kakashi sensei. Ball, right pointing arrow, dog, right pointing arrow, bird, right pointing arrow, monkey, right pointing arrow, ram. Summoning jutsu. There was a large puff of smoke. The smoke quickly cleared to show the hulking form of the monkey. Its body and tail is covered by white fur which protrude from his sleeves and pants. He had long white hair that reached into his back and long sideburns and a goatee. He wore a black suit with mesh armor underneath, over which he wears a sleeveless, kimono shirt with white, fur trimmings and markings reminiscent of tiger stripes on it, which is held closed by a sash. Hiruzen, why have you summoned me? The monkey's voice was deep. Sorry but mistaken sir, I summoned you, Naruto replied. So you are the son of the Yellow Flash, Enma stated. Yes sir, my name is Naruto. I am the boss summon of Monkey Contract. My name is Enma. Well, go on and summon the boss toad, then get this test over with. Ball right pointing arrow, dog right pointing arrow, bird right pointing arrow, monkey right pointing arrow, ram. Summoning jutsu. This time the smoke was bigger, the figure was larger and wider. Finally the smoke cleared to reveal the giant form of Gamabunta. He is colored a dull, rusty red, but around his eyes and on his lips and chest are brighter red markings. Over his left eye, he had a scar. He is wearing a large blue vest, and carries a massive blade at his hip. Okay Gaki, so you're the new summoner, alright, you have to stay on top my head for the whole day. Does it matter how I do it? Naruto asked, curious. Not really, Bunta replied, confused by the question. Naruto created a Kagebunshin. He had the clones stay on the ground while he jumped onto Bunta's head. As soon as Naruto's feet touched Bunta's head, his clone started hand seals and finally called out. Earth style, swamp of the underworld. The clone slammed its palm onto the floor close to where Gamabunta stood. Suddenly the earth started turning murky and Gamabunta started sinking into the swamp. The clone stopped pushing chakra into the swamp when Gamabunta was in the mud just under his shoulder. Kakashi and Enma sweat dropped at the scene. Finally at the end of the day Naruto let Gamabunta out of the swamp. Gamabunta begrudgingly admitted that Naruto had completed the challenge. When he turned to face Kakashi and Enma, only to sweat drop at the scene of Kakashi trying to get his orange bee orc back from the primate, who was reading it with enthusiasm while holding Kakashi back with a hand. Naruto coughed to get their attention only for them to ignore him. Naruto gained a tick mark on his forehead. Doing some hand seals, he slammed his palm on the floor. Wood style, tree binding. Both the ANBU and the primate seemed to snap out of it when Naruto restrained them. Naruto turned to Enma questioningly. Enma only seemed to get confused until Naruto decided to elaborate. So are you going to test me? Ah well, you already passed my test when you trapped Gamabunta in the swamp, replied Enma. Cue massive sweat drop. Enma quickly summoned himself along with Kakashi's Ika book, leaving a blubbering Kakashi on the floor. Naruto started to look nervous because of how much Kakashi was crying, but was relieved when Kakashi stood and suddenly brought out another copy of the book. 2 weeks later. Okay Naruto, today Jiraiya-sama will be coming to take you on as his apprentice, Kakashi said. Although it had been a while since Kakashi had his Ika stolen, he still hadn't gotten over what had happened. Everyone was nervous because they could always hear Kakashi muttering about evil monkeys stealing his precious Ika, but when they asked him about it he would go back to his lazy personality and say, you say something. Which seemed to energize Guy and have him running Naruto into the ground when he was training. Then Naruto comes back in and glares at him, then goes to sleep. This routine ran for every day, until today when he was informed that Jiraiya will pick him up. Naruto was excited because this was the first time in a year and a half that he would be moving outside the Fire Country's border. Naruto was brought out of his musings when a large puff of smoke appeared. When it cleared, it showed the same man who had visited him on his birthday, but he had forgotten his name. Mr. What was your name? Jiraiya face planted but got back up and summoned a toad with a large grin on his face. He started his introduction. It's been said that I'm the Toad Sennin, and that's not all. In the north, in the south, east and west, the legendary three ninjas, white-haired toad summoning child. The handsome man that can silence a crying child. He's Jiraiya-sama, that's me. Naruto never even heard the end of the intro. He looked up at the man and said, "Are you sure that the baby wasn't petrified from looking at you?" Naruto tilted his head to the side, seemingly making him look innocent. Jiraiya sweat dropped as he saw the ANBU members on the ground laughing their hearts out. Jiraiya grumbled about disrespectful disciples and turned away from them, sulking. Finally, after regaining his dignity, or whatever is left of it, he stood up and said, "Come on Gaki, we have to get going, otherwise we will lose my contact." Jiraiya turned away and tried to walk off, only to be caught by the collar by Yugao, who took him behind a tree. All the males winced in sympathy when they heard the girlish screams of the Sannin. Finally Yugao dragged the Sannin back by his hair and dropped him onto the floor. Naruto looked at the twitching mess that is supposed to be his teacher for the next year and a half and nudged him with his foot. Jiraiya quickly got up and repeated his orders to Naruto. When Naruto had finally left, the demeanor of everyone changed, even Guy was acting serious. "So how good is he?" Jiraiya said. "He's done well, he's almost low Junin in ninjutsu. His kenjutsu is top because of his shadow clones helping him. Guy believes that his taijutsu is high Junin. He has never had a talent for genjutsu, so it low Chunin since he can cast one and dispel all others. His fuinjutsu is high chunin since he started to learn from the book I gave him, but that was a 3rd volume book, so it could never get him above that. His wood style is progressing very well. He has all of Tenzo's techniques down now. All he has to do is make his own technique. His chakra natures are earth, water and wind. Altogether I would put him at special Junin. Just as Kakashi ended, Naruto came back in with a sealing scroll. Jiraiya grinned at Naruto and said, "Come on Gaki, we are going to be traveling, so the scroll is a good idea." Jiraiya waved at the ANBU squad along with Naruto before vanishing into the darkness of the forest. Time skip 1 year. Jiraiya appeared in a puff of smoke. "Yo Naruto, you ready to get going?" Jiraiya asked. Yeah, calm down Ero Sennin, I'm coming. Don't get riled up just because you can't go to the hot springs, replied Naruto. God damn it brat, stop calling me that, and you're being a hypocrite since most of the times I see you there merging into the fence using your bloodline. Jiraiya replied, agitated that he couldn't get the brat to respect him and that the bloodline gave the boy such an advantage. Jiraiya smirked. And I think you got caught last time as well. Flashback. Jiraiya sat near the fence giggling like a schoolgirl. Naruto at first got irritated but could care less since he was about to merge himself into the fence. He had done it a lot of times since Jiraiya had literally thrown him into the women's side of the hot springs when learning about the bird and bees. Naruto focused on merging into the bamboo and then blending into it, not standing out too much. Once he had merged fully into the fence, he opened his eyes to the world of women. Although he hated to admit it, he had started reading Jiraiya's books and they were good. Naruto looked around and started to get a slight nosebleed but concealed it quickly. Naruto heard the noise of water dripping and saw that a woman with black hair had just stepped out of the water. Naruto gaped as he saw the woman. She is a goddess, plump that jiggled with every step, a firm-looking rear and legs that seemed to go on forever, shaved crotch with pink lips that looked very inviting to him. He was broken out of his musing when he heard a whistling nose getting closer to him. Naruto's eyes widened as he saw the kunai heading straight for his family jewels. Naruto shifted to the left side of the fence so that it would pass harmlessly. The woman narrowed her eyes at the fence and put her hand in the seal to dispel a genjutsu. Unfortunately for Jiraiya, his invisibility genjutsu dispelled. Even worse for him, he was sitting comfortably on the side of the women's hot springs. Fortunately for Naruto, all the women seemed so caught up in beating Jiraiya to death so he to get out of the fence, but didn't take into account that the woman who threw a kunai would be a sensor as well. The woman turned her head, sensing chakra being used. She saw a blonde melting out of the fence and narrowed her eyes again, this time leaking ki. Naruto looked behind him to see if anyone had noticed and let out a sigh when there was no one looking at him, but he hadn't taken into account that the woman would be right in front of him. Naruto turned his head, but his head was trapped in something. He moved his hand up to try to remove the object out of his face. Naruto grasped the objects and tried moving back, but the first thing he noticed was that the objects were round and very mushy, and when he squeezed them he heard a moan. Naruto paled at a rapid rate as he realized that the objects were, and the moan he heard was coming out of a woman's mouth. Naruto moved back, being very careful about how slowly he let his hands drop, and saw the red face of the same woman that had dispelled Jiraiya's genjutsu. The woman came rushing at Naruto, who was petrified beyond belief. Just as the woman was 3 meters away, Naruto regained his bearings and thanked the gods that he had left his weights off. He started running, leading her into the forest, hopefully leaving her confused. What Naruto didn't expect was that his speed would be too much to handle. Naruto tried to slow down but tripped over a tree branch. Naruto landed on the ground face down and groaned. The woman stalked towards him and started to perform hand seals. Naruto's mouth opened in a silent scream. The woman smirked, and as if to complete her ritual she reared her leg back and kicked him in the crotch. Naruto squealed in pain and horror as the kick had broken the genjutsu. The woman walked away satisfied with a job well done, but if she had stayed any longer she would have seen the Naruto on the floor melt and the original come out of a tree trunk. Naruto winced in sympathy for the mud clone but was thankful that their memories didn't come back to him. Naruto arrived back at the hot springs and collected his stuff and Jiraiya's and went straight to the police station to bail Jiraiya out. Naruto knew he was in there since it became a routine for him. After getting his sensei identified and bailed out, he sighed in relief. Gaki, I wouldn't be relaxing right now. That woman that went after you is from Konoha. A Chunin level ninja but the most powerful genjutsu user in the whole village. I'd been on a lookout if I was, especially when you get back to the village. Although she is pretty good looking, Jiraiya grinned at him. Naruto looked curious before asking. So, what her name? Jiraiya wiggled his eyebrows at Naruto, giggling perversely. Then in a fake concerned voice said, "My little apprentice is growing up." Jiraiya sniffled a bit before returning to his giggling. Naruto got irritated and asked again. "Seriously though, who is she?" Naruto's eyes widened as Jiraiya pulled out an old scrapbook. He knew what that is. It is the encyclopedia of every woman that Jiraiya has peeked on, but it's detailed right down to the number of guys that the girls have even dated and for how long. Her name is Kurenai Yuhi. She's around 17 or 18 years old. She got a pretty good mission record, but she's known as Konoha's Ice Queen for tuning down guys left and right. Says here that she's even turned down Asuma Sarutobi, the third Hokage's son. You got no chance, kid. She would murder you if she remembers you from this incident. Jiraiya grinned at him while Naruto looked very pale. Flashback end. Right, let's see if you actually learned anything. Now summon Fukusaku-sama and get us into Mount Myoboku, Jiraiya ordered Naruto. Naruto, instead of retorting, just did as Jiraiya asked. Ball right pointing arrow, dog right pointing arrow, bird right pointing arrow, monkey right pointing arrow, ram. Summoning jutsu. Out of the smoke stepped out an old toad. Fukusaku is a green toad with white hair styled in somewhat of a mohawk, very thick eyebrows and a small goatee. He is wearing a cape and carries a cane with him. Okay Jiraiya-chan, what da ya want now? The old toad asked. I need you to summon me and my apprentice to Mount Myoboku for the Sage Mode training. Jiraiya replied. Are ya sure about that? He looks a bit young for that kind of training. Fukusaku was a bit skeptical about the boy. He's trained with Konoha's best ninjas for a year and a half. Alright kiddo, if you say so, get ready and hold onto my shoulder. Fukusaku started doing some hand seals. Reverse summoning jutsu. Suddenly Jiraiya and Naruto were surrounded by plants and trees taller themselves. Jiraiya turned to Naruto. Okay Naruto, you will stay here for the last six months of your training trip learning from the toads, and you have the Rasengan to complete. When your time is up I will come back and we go to the village and assess to see what rank you should get. Over the next 6 months Naruto changed a lot. He grew to be as tall as Jiraiya. His hair had grown to use Jiraiya's hair justus, but it was tied into a ponytail. He had finished the Rasengan, surpassed Jiraiya in making seals, learned one of his father's signature justus in a week. Jiraiya said that his rapid growth was due to the Kyuubi chakra being purified by the wood-style bloodline and speeding up his healing rate by 50%. It was stated as a fact that he could regrow limbs. Naruto-chan, you have come a long way. You have surpassed every human in history to attempt at gathering nature chakra, and we as your summons accept you as the new Toad Sage. Naruto felt proud of himself but could not help but think what his parents would say. Would they be proud or would they be disappointed? Arigato Fukusaku-sensei, Naruto replied, a bit sad. What's on your mind Naruto-chan? I can't help but think well. You what, never mind. Naruto trailed off. Just as Fukusaku was about to say something, Getora appeared with Jiraiya. Hey kiddo, how ya doing? But no time for discussion, we have to get to Konoha, Jiraiya said quickly. What's with the rush? Naruto asked. No rush, I just want to finish my research. Yeah, Ero-senin, Naruto replied, a bit annoyed. Stop calling me that brat. Jiraiya scowled at him. Apparently he had his mother's annoying personality. Well, at least he isn't running around in an orange jumpsuit yelling at everyone that, I'm going to be Hokage, believe it. Sigh. Jiraiya snorted in amusement at that. Alright, are you ready? Naruto nodded. Jiraiya put his hand on Naruto's shoulder and they disappeared. Konoha forest outskirts. As Naruto and Jiraiya were traveling, something appeared in a puff of smoke on Jiraiya's shoulder. It was a messenger toad with a scroll in its hand. As soon as Jiraiya took the scroll, the toad dispelled. As soon as he finished reading the scroll, he looked at Naruto with a grim expression and said, Naruto, something important has come up. I will give you a map to follow, and remember, walk when you approach the guards or they will see you as a threat. Got it? Naruto nodded and Jiraiya shunshined away, leaving Naruto with a map and his entry papers. Naruto just shrugged and activated his Sage Mode to move through the forest faster. 2 hours later, when Naruto arrived at the village gates, the Chunins took a defensive stance but relaxed when Naruto showed his entry papers. Once Naruto came through the village doors, the dear ANBU appeared and told Naruto the Hokage wished to speak with him. He was led towards the Hokage tower. When they arrived, the ANBU went into the Hokage's office to announce his arrival. With a command to come in from the Hokage, Naruto entered. Naruto smiled, seeing the face of the old man he had not seen in 2 years. Negg, how have you been? Naruto replied cheerfully. Sarutobi was outraged at the boy's behavior. Young man, I don't care who you think you are, but you are now in my village. I am the leader and you will show me respect. So you already forgot me, eh? You only saw me 2 years ago. So tell me, Hokage-sama, how many blondes do you know with 3 whisker marks on their cheeks and a very cheeky attitude? Naruto stated. Finally it dawned on him. Naruto, my boy, is that really you? My word, how did you manage to grow so quickly in such a short amount of time? What happened? The Hokage sputtered out. He listened to Naruto as he explained what happened on the training trip. He also told Naruto about wanting him to enter the academy under the guise of a younger form to be able to keep to himself hidden using seals and gather info on the teaching methods of the academy and how the new batch of Genins will turn out. Okay, well, I will give you the rank of a Chunin. You will stay on your team until the Chunin exams. I know you would be a help to whatever team you're placed on. You will begin the academy in a week's time. I suggest you go ahead and activate your Genjutsu seal to give people a chance to get used to you being around town. Also, I kept a new house ready for when you returned. The Sandaime Hokage handed him a piece of paper with an address on it. Thanks, Gigi, that means a lot to me. I think I better head home and get things set up. I feel like making a special appearance at Ichiraku for a little ramen. Single quote, single quote. It is good to see you again after all these years, Naruto. He said as he dismissed Naruto. As Naruto walked through the streets, he was trying to get used to his miniature form. He was now 1.4 meters with the appearance of a 12 or 13-year-old. He still had his long blonde hair in a ponytail and still had a slightly athletic figure. He wore a white tight-fitting t-shirt under a black vest to go along with his black cargo pants. It didn't take long for Naruto to arrive to his new apartment. Creating some clones, he gave them orders to fix up the place and stored away his items before heading to his favorite restaurant. Ichiraku Ramen Stand. What can I get for you today, sir? The young woman asked with a charming smile. Well, Ayami Nichan, I'd love to start off with 6 miso ramen, please. It's been too long since I've had any of your father's wonderful cooking, said Naruto happily. Naruto's familiar tone caused Ayami to take a second look at him, and when she recognized who he was, she immediately called for her. Father, father, come out here, you're never going to believe who's here. Ayami called to her father. Who is it, Ayami? I was busy cleaning up back there, said Chuki as he walked out of the kitchen. Upon recognizing the boy form, the old man smiled. Well, if it isn't my best customer, Naruto. How have you been? I've been good. Life has been treating me fairly well, but it's nice to be back in a familiar place. Anyway, I was just ordering 6 miso ramen from Ayami Nichan here before she called you out here. Right, I'll get those on 'em right away. In fact, I'll even make the first one on the house, said the old man, heading back into the kitchen. Naruto spent his time eating and talking to Ayami as he tried to not go into detail about his training trip. When he was finished, Naruto said goodbye and paid his bill before heading home to get some rest. Over the course of the week, word had gotten around that the demon container was back, and Naruto had to put up with the glares and mutterings of Demon once again. However, now it no longer bothered him what people thought, since he had come to realize he could only be himself, and if that was not a new GH for people, then it was their loss. Something different from before, though, was that he had unintentionally begun to collect a steadily growing group of fangirls from the village. Time skip first day of Ninja Academy. When the day finally came for him to start at the academy, Naruto opted to wear just his t-shirt and cargo pants in order to look more like a civilian. Naruto arrived early in the classroom and found he was the only one there yet. Deciding to take a seat, he waited for the others to show up. When the children began to file in, he noted a few individuals who caught his eye. The first to enter was a boy he recognized by the name of Shino of the Aberrane clan. He seemed very much like the quiet type and just sat down. The next to enter was a girl with dark indigo hair that Naruto recognized as the Hyuga heiress, Hinata. She was also appeared to be a quiet one, but when she met Naruto's eyes, she quickly looked away, blushing, and sat down. Just great, another fangirl for me. I can't wait to get out of this disguise. Maybe then all these girls will stop looking at me like this. The next 3 to enter were a group of boys Naruto recognized as Kiba of the Inuzuka, Shikamaru of the Nara, and Chuji of the Akamaiki. Naruto's first impression was Kiba was a horned dog, Chuji loved food, and Shikamaru was lazy. The last 3 to enter that caught his eye was a boy and 2 girls who seemed to be fighting over him. Looks like I'm not the only one with fangirls. Naruto thought in amusement. Naruto recognized the boy as Sasuke, one of the last Uchihas. To Naruto the boy seemed to have a cloud of ominous around him. Naruto began to wonder if the boy was, as he didn't seem to pay attention to the affection of the girls around him. Anyways, the other two girls he recognized by the names of Sakura and Ino of the Yamanaka. They were both now fighting to sit next to Sasuke, with the one named Sakura eventually winning. Upon being defeated, Ino noticed Naruto, and to his horror she promptly forgot about the brooding Uchiha and ran to sit next to him. She just sat there looking dreamy-eyed at him. God damn it, how many more fangirls am I going to get? Naruto glanced over at the Uchiha only to see the boy smirking at him. Damn you Uchiha, why can't you keep you fangirls to yourself? You just have to pawn them off on me, don't ya? Thought Naruto bitterly. The class finally began when the teacher, a man named Iruka, showed up. They spent the first day just sitting while they listened to one big lecture about chakra and what it was. Naruto was so bored that he took a page out of Shikamaru's book and took a nap. Iruka woke him up once and asked him to answer the question he just asked, but was surprised when Naruto answered it correctly after only having to repeat the question. Naruto just went back to sleep afterwards. Time skip end of the academy. I know might be too far, but I want to speed up to make the pairing. Note Naruto now looks like a 17-year-old. Naruto was about to go mad because of his fangirls when the final day came for the practical exam. When it was finally his turn to perform a simple bushin for his practical, he ended up going overboard, creating enough versions of himself to fill the entire room. Needless to say, Naruto passed with the title of Rookie of the Year. After Naruto received his headband, he decided to wear it as a belt instead of on his head. Once all the exams were finished, Iruka told everyone that passed to return the next day for team assignments. As soon as Naruto exited the academy, he was confronted by an ANBU telling him that the Hokage would like to see him, and then disappeared. Curious to what the old man could want, Naruto took off towards the Hokage. Entering the Hokage's office, he was greeted by the Hokage. "Hello Naruto, I just received word that you made Rookie of the Year. No surprise there, huh? After training with an ANBU squad and a Sannin, it was pretty evident. I did have an unfair advantage over the students, but I have been helping out those I saw that had potential, so it evens things out. What? I have no doubt about that. Now Naruto, the reason I called you here is to give you advance warning to the team I plans to place you on. Kakashi has personally requested you to be put on his team. Though unfortunately I could not grant this request, as his attention is needed to focus on training Sasuke to use the Sharingan, and considering Uchiha Sasuke's inferiority complex, the team's teamwork would only suffer in the long run. Single quote. I take it there is more to this. Kurenai-san is a genjutsu user, however seems desperate to prove herself worthy of the title of Junin, so I have assigned her as a Junin sensei. I would also appreciate it if you could also help her train your fellow teammates as you suggested. Quote, of course, I'd be happy to help. I would like to make a request for who my teammates be though, if I may, Hokage-sama. And who might they be? The Hokage asked curiously. I wish to be paired with Inuzuka Kiba and Hyuga Hinata. I can see a lot of potential in the two of them and believe they could work well together. Hinata has a very timid and quiet personality, while Kiba's is loud and aggressive. I believe that they would balance each other out and hopefully be a positive influence on each other. Quote, I had similar thoughts in mind. I was going to go with the initial plan of a tracking team, but a tracking team of specialists from other clans can be easily exploited over time. You should probably go home and get some rest. Single quote. Taking that as his dismissal, Naruto left the office and headed home. When night time finally came, Naruto felt like he could not sleep, so went out for some late night training. As soon as he activated his Sage mode, he felt Junin's and Chunin's chakra running all over the village. When he decided he should see what was going on, he vanished and reappeared in the Hokage Tower to get the full grasp of the situation. Most of the Junins and Chunins were startled when Naruto appeared in front of the Hokage. So what's going on with the entire ruckus? Most of the room face planted at his question. Apparently Uchiha Sasuke has deemed it appropriate to steal the scroll of sealing and kinjutsus, the Hokage replied. Okay, you guys mind waiting here for about 5 minutes, Naruto asked. What are you going to do, Naruto? You'll find out, Naruto replied cheerily as he jumped out the window. As Naruto was falling to the ground, he used his Sage mode to lock onto Sasuke's chakra and he simply disappeared. Back in the Hokage office. Hokage-sama, who was that boy? Asked a random Junin. The Hokage replied, that was Uzumaki Naruto. The rest of the room was smart not to comment about the boy's demon except for a Chunin. Che, what's so good about that demon brat? As soon as those words left his mouth, everyone stepped back from the stupid ninja. The Chunin continued his ramble until he felt 5 different ki concentrated on him. He stopped talking. Then in sudden movements, Kakashi, Guy, Tora and Neko surrounded him. Neko had her blade poised at his neck, while Tora restrained him with vines growing out of the floor. In this time span, Kakashi pulled up his headband to show his Sharingan spinning angrily, and Guy had his nunchucks out and a NY expression on his face. Neko spoke up first. You should realize that you are talking about our little brother, while the other 3 nodded along with her. The Chunin was too scared to respond, so he did the only thing logical to him, he fainted. Tora, Neko, Kakashi and Guy, control yourselves. Dear, take that Chunin to Ribiki for a fun session. All the ninja present shivered at the tone of the Hokage and felt nothing but pity for the Chunin. Back with Naruto. Naruto was traveling at his top speed. When he arrived at the scene, he saw Iruka being attacked by Mizuki while Sasuke stood there with a large scroll on his back looking on dumbly. Naruto dropped all his weights and created 2 clones moving as blurs. He knocked Sasuke, Mizuki, and Iruka at a moment. Notice all 3 males dropped to the ground without seeing the assailant. Naruto had his clones pick up Iruka and Sasuke and take them to the hospital, while he picked up the scroll and Mizuki and disappeared in a burst of speed in the direction of the Hokage Tower. Finally, after a minute of traveling, he reached the Hokage Tower and jumped to the window while throwing Mizuki through the windows like a sack of potatoes and proceeded to jump in through the window. Every ninja stood there stunned as Naruto had taken down a Chunin and recovered the scroll of Sealing D Kinjutsu in the time span of 5 minutes. Sup, everyone face planted at the simple greeting. Alright Naruto, tell me what happened, the Hokage asked, going into business mode. Well, you see, retard, Mizuki, over there promised Imo-sama, I think we all know who that is, that he would get lots of Owa to kill his brother, if he learned a skill from the scroll. Then Dolphin-san crashed his whole plan and found Imo-sama before the retard could. Then the retard threw a Fuma shuriken at Imo-sama, but Dolphin-san, being the good guy he is, jumped in front of it. While Imo-sama watched Dolphin-san almost die. This is the part where I came in. First I took off my weights and the created 2 more clones knocked the 3 of them out. My clones took Imo-sama and Dolphin-san to the hospital and I brought the retard here to be interrogated, Naruto explained the whole scenario, earning multiple snickers by the Hokage and several Junins, while the Uchiha supporters were red in the face. But the most noticeable thing was Kakashi leaning on Genma trying to get his breath back while having tears in his eyes. But it all came to halt when Naruto mentioned one thing. Gigi, he smelled too much like snakes, Naruto said to the Sandaime. Suddenly the demeanor of everyone in the room changed into business mode. Thank you for the information, Naruto. You were dismissed. Team selection day. Naruto walked into the class, which was filled only half. He decided to take a seat next to Kiba, who was currently talking to Akamaru about what kind of fish tastes good. Naruto would have laughed had it not been for the fact that last time he did, Akamaru tried to bite him in the groin. A few minutes passed, the whole class was here except Iruka. Finally Iruka came in, but what got everyone's attention were the bandages on his back barely hidden the Chunin vest. Questions started firing in Iruka's direction, only to be answered with a glare. With everyone quiet, he decided to proceed with the speech and team selection. Starting today, all of you are real shinobi, but you are still genin. The hard journey that lies ahead has just started and blah 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 blah. Moving now, the teams are divided into 3-man cell with a Junin sensei. Now the teams are: Team 7, Shino Aburame, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno. Junin Kakashi Hatake. Team 8, Kiba Inuzuka, Naruto Uzumaki, Hinata Hyuga. Junin Kurenai Yuhi. Team 9 still in circulation. Team 10, Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, Chuji Akamaiki. Junin Asuma Sarutobi. Your Junin sensei will be here soon. After half an hour of waiting, Naruto got bored of waiting and turned on his sage mode. To his surprise, he found out that there was a genjutsu on the wall. He tried to sense further and found there was a chakra signature behind it, and then it struck him: his Junin sensei is a genjutsu mistress. He turned to teammates and said, "Hey, you guys want to get things started with our sensei?" His teammates looked confused until Naruto motioned at a wall and EW a kunai. It was buried up to the hilt. Suddenly the wall started shimmering and a woman appeared with crimson eyes, black hair with a figure most women would kill for and a bandaged dress, but for some reason she seemed to glare at Naruto. Kiba, being the horn dog he is, whistles at the woman and starts drooling. Naruto, knowing what would happen next, decided to interfere. So Kurenai-sensei, are we going to introduce ourselves or are you going to keep glaring at me while Kiba fantasizes about you? Kurenai seemed to glare harder at Naruto. Oh, meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. If you are late you fail, Kurenai said in a stern voice. Naruto disappeared and reappeared in between both Hinata and Kiba. He put a hand on both their shoulders and vanished. On the rooftop, Kurenai seemed to be in deep thought about what happened in the room. How did he detect me? I was using an A-rank genjutsu. Kurenai decided to question him after his teammates left. Kurenai was so deep in her thought she didn't notice until Naruto tapped her on the shoulder. Before anyone knew it, Naruto had a kunai buried into his stomach by Kurenai. She looked horrified when Naruto stated to pull back, the blood pooling around his feet. He finally fell to the ground, his blue eyes now glazed over as they stared back at her crimson eyes. Suddenly the Naruto lying on the floor vanished out of existence. Then Naruto's voice rang out from behind her, close to her ear. "Boo," Naruto said. She dropped the kunai and started hitting him on his chest. He didn't seem to move out of the way or dodging the attacks. In a swift movement he touched her forehead with his index finger and channeled some chakra into it, and she fainted. He turned to his teammates. They looked dumbfounded as Naruto just played a prank on a Junin and then knocked her out. Naruto said to his teammates, "I think you should go home while I take her to the Hokage Tower to report, and we will meet back here tomorrow at 8 a.m. His teammates just nodded dumbly and walked away. Naruto sighed and picked up Kurenai and jumped to the Hokage Tower. As he was jumping, Kurenai seemed to snuggle more into his chest. He blushed like a cherry as he remembered the time Jiraiya had taught him about the birds and the bees. When he finally arrived at the Hokage Tower, he burst in through the windows. The Hokage seemed startled by his entrance but quickly calmed down when he realized who Naruto was carrying. He went into pervert mode and asked Naruto, "Naruto, don't you think both people should be awake for that kind of intimacy?" the Hokage said with a leer. Naruto tried to ignore the jab. Tried being the key word because right now Naruto was inventing new shades of red. After Naruto calmed down, he explained everything from finding Kurenai hiding under a genjutsu to making her faint. By the end of his explanation, the Sandaime was looking very serious. In his Hokage tone of voice he said, "Naruto, the prank you did could be very harmful to her mental health. The fact that you made her experience your death by her hands could very well psychologically break her mind." By now Naruto was panicking. In a desperate tone he asked, "What am I supposed to do?" Quote, now Sarutobi had 3 things he could say to Naruto. As the Hokage, he would tell Naruto that he should sincerely apologize to Kurenai. His grandfatherly side would go with buy the woman dinner and apologize. His perverted side would tell Naruto to relax and get laid. Now he was stuck between 2 choices, his perverted side and his grandfatherly side. So he chose to combine them, and his ultimate choice being, relax, buy the woman dinner and apologize and maybe get laid. Now this worked out just fine. Now this didn't mean that the Hokage would vocalize these thoughts. He would put it gently and nudge Naruto in Kurenai's direction. After all, the woman did reject every man that tried to date her. She even turned down his son. "Okay, here's what you do. Alright, tomorrow when you finish with your team, you ask to speak with her alone and tell her you would like to make it up to her and ask her out for dinner." Whoa, hold on there, you mean ask her for a date? No, not like that. You are apologizing, but if she likes you after this you should try again, but this time you must be more relaxed. And one last thing, do not take her to Ichiraku's. I will arrange a reservation for you at a good hotel. You won't even need to pay for it. All charges go to the Namika's account. Now will you do as I say? Now Naruto, being the naive boy he has, agreed to it all. Oh, and drop your genjutsu seal so she will take you more seriously, plus people won't recognize you. Hi Gigi. Now good, you should probably wake her up now. She's kind of dangerous. Can I use a clone? The Hokage answered with a shake of his head. So Naruto woke her up by shaking her shoulder a little, but she wouldn't wake, mumbling something about 5 more minutes. So Naruto finally decided to use a different method. He charged some chakra into his fingertips and gently pushed the chakra into her forehead. She woke up startled. As she looked around, she noticed the Hokage and Naruto looking at her. She couldn't comprehend how she got here. "Ah, Kurenai-senpai, you are awake. I was about to leave, but I guess I can drop the seal now. What do you think, Gigi?" The Hokage was surprised at Naruto's ability to lie but decided to play along. Yes, well, that's your choice, but it's going to come off sometime. What's going on here? Asked Kurenai, feeling a little drowsy. Well, Kurenai-san, this has been a secret ever since Naruto came back to the village, but since you are his commander you will need to know. So Naruto dropped the seal. Naruto nodded and removed the seal using his sage chakra to make it unstable and break. Naruto's appearance changed slowly. He grew taller, his hair grew out, and his face took on an angular look. His muscles strained his t-shirt to the point of tearing. All in all, he looked ripped and matured. Kurenai-san, meet Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Kurenai had a shade of red on her cheeks while her mouth was open. Kurenai-sensei, you're drooling. She seemed to snap out of her stupor, but she was still blushing. Now, even though Naruto was naive, he still knew what was happening to Kurenai. He decided to tease her a little, so he walked up to her, leaned into her ear, his breath tickling her neck, sending shivers down her spine. He slowly and calmly asked her, "Like what you see, senpai?" She started sputtering and blushing madly at the closeness. Naruto backed away with a million-watt grin. Since Kurenai could not form proper sentences, she settled on glaring at him, trying to be menacing, but the blush on her face did not help. She tried to walk up to him, but to no avail, she could not get up. Need some help, Kurenai-sensei? Feeling her blush return full force at their closeness, she did the only thing she knew at this moment. She fainted. Do you know where she lives, Gigi? The Hokage shook his head. Well, I'll be leaving Gigi, as he picked up Kurenai bridal style and traveled to his home, leaving an amused Hokage behind. As Naruto arrived at his home, he gently put Kurenai on the bed while he tried to get away. He realized she held him tight. He sighed as he lied next to her and thought, this is going to be awkward tomorrow. Kurenai groaned as she woke up, feeling very comfortable. She opened her eyes to see unfamiliar surroundings. The room looked plain, with only a few movie posters and some clothes thrown around the room. Her eyes widened as she realized that she wasn't even in her house. Kurenai tried to get up but found she couldn't move. When she turned her head to see what was preventing her from moving, as soon as she moved her head, she saw a mop of blonde hair. Wait, blonde? She turned her face only to come face to face with a whisker-marked blonde drooling on the pillow. A faint blush appeared on her face as she felt Naruto's hands around her waist. She tried to move away only for him to pull her back. He sighed contentedly as he rested his face in her bust. She started going red in the face when she realized what he was doing. She was about to scream out loud when she felt something poking her inner thigh. Confused as to what it might be, she looked down and thought one thing, big. When she finally regained control of herself, she calmly brought her hand up and started to smack the life out of Naruto. Naruto woke up with a start as he felt Femini's hand smacking him. Wait, Femini. He opened his eyes only to come face to face with Kurenai's cleavage. Naruto tried to pull back but didn't realize that he had his hands around her waist. As he fell off the bed, he took Kurenai with him. Naruto landed underneath her, both their faces going red as they realized that they were kissing. Now Naruto and Kurenai were thinking only one thing, wow, soft lips. Kurenai sprang away as soon as she realized what happened, though she now felt cold because Naruto was not holding her. Naruto started to sputter and apologize. Kurenai couldn't even glance his way without blushing. She calmed down and asked him a question in very sweet voice laced with venom. Naruto, why am I in your house on your bed, sleeping in it with you holding me? Quote. To Naruto it seemed like the Shinigami came to seal away his soul. Naruto tried to calm down and tried to answer. Keyword tried. He finally stuttered out an answer. Well, Kurenai-sensei, you, fainted, in the Hokage, office, And I didn't. No, where, you, lived, so I, brought you, here and, you, wouldn't, let, go of me. Trying to get her blush under control, Kurenai thought it was best if they started again. Well, how about we try to forget what happened and start again? Introductions. Naruto asked meekly. He may be strong, but hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Kurenai smiled gently and started. Well, my name is Kurenai Yuhi. My likes are dango and genjutsu. I dislike arrogant people and pervert. My hobbies are tending to my rose garden and reading a book. My dream is to be the best genjutsu user in the world. While Naruto thought about what he was going to say. Okay, well, my name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. My likes are people who treat me normally, and my summons the toads and the monkey. My dislikes are when Jiraiya-sensei left me alone with nothing to do and the last Uchiha survivor. My hobbies are training to perfect my sage mode and making new friends. My dream is to have a family and become Hokage. Kurenai was stunned. This teen was the Yondaim's son, a Sannin's apprentice and the second Toad Sage. He should at least be a Junin by now. You are the Yondaim's son. Yep, kind of a secret, but since Gigi would have told you anyway since you are my senpai. Wait, you trained with a Sannin for 3 years and you are still a Genin. Actually, I trained with him only for a year and 6 months. The rest of the time I was trained by Kakashi Hatake, Yugao Azuki, Might Guy and Tenzo of the Wood Release, but the reason I'm a Genin is because Gigi wanted me to go undercover to evaluate the Genin graduation system and the brand of Genins this year. I actually a Chunin. Kurenai's jaw dropped. This man should at least be low Sannin level, but she realized something. Why would he need training from a Wood Release user? I get the first 3 Junins and ANBU have speciality, but why Tenzo? Well, he's my bloodline teacher. I have the Wood Release. Naruto said that as if it was the simplest thing in the world. Now Kurenai was stunned even beyond words. She started spacing out. Naruto seemed to notice her eyes glazing over and got worried. He moved closer to her and tried to snap her out of her daydreaming. Kurenai seemed to snap out her wondering, only to feel hot breath tickling her neck while Naruto whispered into her ear asking if she was alright. Blushing, she seemed to do that a lot this morning, at the closeness. She told him she was alright. Well, Kurenai-senpai, you are welcome to take a shower here. Thank you, Naruto. It's fine. Out in the hallway, 3rd door to the left. Quote, as soon as Kurenai left, Naruto moved to the kitchen to fix him and Kurenai some breakfast. After he finished, he decided that he would just change into a new pair of clothes. As he walked towards his room, he saw Kurenai come out of the shower only in a towel. Her hair sticking to her face, porcelain skin glinting in the sun, and the towel sticking to her figure. He blushed as he realized that her chest seemed to be even more pronounced in the thin piece of cloth. As he realized he was staring, he turned away quickly, hoping she didn't notice. Kurenai felt amused at Naruto's antics but could not help but tease him. She walked up to him with a sway of her hips and ran a finger across his chest. She felt him shiver under her touch. Next time don't get caught staring, Kurenai whispered in his ear, her touching his chest. Naruto stood there gaping while she walked away with a sway of her hips. After having breakfast, Naruto put his genjutsu seal on again, which got a raised eyebrow from Kurenai. He explained that his teammates would freak out if he came to their team meeting looking like that. Both departed to their team meeting place. Time skip meeting place. As they met up with Kiba and Hinata, they were bombarded with questions, but Naruto answered with a glare and a bit of ki. They were taken by shock as Naruto never acted hostile towards others. Kurenai sighed and decided to explain what happened yesterday. Okay, so about what happened yesterday, I was having a bad day. I was put off even more when Naruto detected me through my genjutsu that confused even Junins. Naruto, noticing my mood, decided to knock me out. Not the best decision, I'd say, but it was good enough. When I woke up, the Hokage answered all my questions about how Naruto detected me. All right, good enough. Now Naruto, do you have anything to say to your teammates? Naruto sighed and explained why he was away from the village for 3 years, who his teachers were, and his heritage, what's sealed inside of him, even ABO. His bloodline and his rank. To say they were shocked was an understatement, but all that was nothing against their reaction when he dropped his genjutsu seal. Naruto and Kurenai watched in amusement as both held their foreheads and started to massage them. Naruto was about to explain to them why he was older looking than them, but Kiba held his hand up saying, I don't want to know, while Hinata nodded in agreement. Okay, well, how about introductions? Kurenai announced. Why don't you go first, sensei? Hinata said meekly. Okay, well, my name is Kurenai Yuhi. My likes are dango and genjutsu. I dislike arrogant people and perverts. My hobbies are tending to my rose garden and reading a book. My dream is to be the best genjutsu user in the world. Naruto was next. Okay, well, my name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. My likes are people who treat me normally, and my summons the toads and the monkeys. My dislikes are when Jiraiya-sensei left me alone with nothing to do and the last Uchiha survivor. My hobbies are training to perfect my sage mode and making new friends. My dream is to have a family and become Hokage. Hinata went next. My name is Hinata Hyuga. I like my little sister and cinnamon buns. I dislike my family being separated and the caged bird seal. My hobbies are sparring and spending time with my little sister. My dream is to become clan head. Though the introduction Hinata seemed to get quieter as she proceeded. Kurenai grimaced. She was going to have to work hard to build up her confidence. Kiba got up next. My name is Kiba Inuzuka. I like spending time with Akamaru and hot girls. My dislikes are arrogant people and hot girls who ignore me. My hobbies are training with Akamaru and trying to pick up girls. My dream is to become clan head with a smoking hot babe as my wife. Through the introduction Kiba leered at both Kurenai and Hinata. Kurenai glared at Kiba even more but was surprised when Naruto directed his ki towards Kiba, making him tremble. He relayed a simple message to Kiba in a deathly cold voice that seems to make even Kurenai shiver. Kiba, you will make sure that you do not do anything perverted in my presence or leer at Kurenai-senpai and Hinata, because if you do I shall end you as a man. Kiba nodded furiously as not to anger Naruto. Although Naruto was a pervert, he decided that he was better off being a closet perv since his encounter with Kurenai. Okay, now with introductions over, I will give you your genin test to see whether you are worthy of being a Konoha shinobi. If you fail you will go back to the academy. Now you have to get these bells from me before lunch. Kurenai-senpai, do you mean these bells? Naruto said, holding up 2 bells. Kurenai looked down to her waist only to see the bells disappear into smoke. Kiba and Hinata amazed as Naruto took the bells without her even noticing. What? When did you get those? Naruto merely smirked at her. She got irritated but moved on with the test. Alright Naruto, who are you going to give the bell to? Kurenai asked. The whole point of this is teamwork, so I will give my bells to both of them, Naruto replied. Okay, well, Team 8 is official. Now do you guys want to train or get a mission? I want to get a mission. I hope we get one to save a princess or to save a country, Kiba said, excited about doing missions. Kurenai and Naruto inwardly chuckled. Okay, let's get a mission. As they headed towards the Hokage Tower. Hokage Tower. Team 8, your mission is to capture Tora the Fire Lord's cat. Please move along, report back after you are done, the Hokage said with amusement in his voice. What the hell kind of a mission is this? Kiba replied, outraged, while Naruto walked past him and grabbed the scroll. Mission accepted, Hokage Gigi. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Naruto, I think it will take longer for you to do that, the Hokage remarked. Really Gigi? Okay, let's put up a wager. If you win I will do D-rank missions with no pay for the next month. If I win we all get an A-rank mission pay and a C-rank mission the next time we come here for a mission, Naruto said. The Hokage agreed and the only witnesses were Team 8 and the Chunins in the room. Kurenai and Hinata walked out of the office while Naruto dragged Kiba out. He directed a little ki at Kiba and told him to get up. Needless to say, a scared shitless Kiba is an obedient Kiba. Naruto told Kiba to track the cat's scent while Hinata searched the village for the cat with the Byakugan. Naruto had a simple plan: locate and cage the cat. After a few minutes of searching, Hinata reported the cat to be on the village walls. Naruto disappeared in a gust of leaves and used vines to trap the cat and made a prison around it. Naruto reappeared in front of his team. Well, let's go and collect our pay, and who wants to go to lunch with me, my treat? Kiba and Hinata agreed simultaneously while Kurenai seemed to hesitate but agreed in the end. As they arrived at the Hokage Tower, Naruto handed the cat to the Hokage and told him to pay up. There sat a stunned Hokage studying the cat to see if it was a fake. He seemed to cry anime-style tears as he handed the money to Naruto and secretly slipping him 2 tickets for reservations for the Blazing Leaf restaurant. Thanks Gigi, we will be back for the C-rank mission, though I suggest that this be a 2-teams mission. How about this, you put Kakashi Anaki's team with ours so we have more experience working with the other teams. Kurenai smiled at Naruto's suggestions, knowing that when they move up in the ranks they will not work with each other all the time. The Hokage seemed to give it some thought to it and finally agreed. Naruto turned to the rest of his team, asked if they still wanted to go to lunch. They all nodded. Food is food, and who in their right mind would refuse free food? So Naruto asked them where they wanted to eat. Kurenai said she didn't mind where, while Kiba and Hinata suggested the new barbecue restaurant run by the Akamaiki. Naruto agreed and they moved at a moderate pace towards the restaurant. Once they arrived they all placed their orders and walked over to a remote booth in the back. As the food arrived they started up a conversation on random subjects. When the meal finished Naruto paid the bill, much to the protest of Kurenai, as she wanted to at least pay half, but the idea was quickly rejected by Naruto. Alright team, we will be going to training ground 8 for a light spa, then head home, meet back at the same training ground. Let's move. The matches were set as Kiba vs Hinata and Naruto vs Kurenai. Time skip end of training. Kurenai-senpai, can I talk to you for a moment? Naruto stated, trying not to blush at what was coming next. What is it, Naruto? Well, I was wondering if you would like to go to dinner with me. Naruto started to blush. He tried not to but couldn't help it. Kurenai was a bit surprised at his forwardness but decided to make him squirm a little. What brought this on, Naruto? Well, I wanted to apologize for the trouble I caused you. By now Naruto was sweating bullets, fully red in the face and currently inventing new shades of it. So are you asking me on a date? No, nothing like that. Kurenai glared at him but smirked inwardly. Are you saying that I'm not good enough for you? Huh? Naruto was starting to sweat. No, I didn't mean it that way. You're a very beautiful woman. Naruto was now feeling the heat and tried to think a way out of this but was relieved when she smiled. Well, okay, but I don't think I will be going in these clothes. Don't be late, Naruto-kun, stretching the kun as a way of teasing him. She smiled warmly as she succeeded in making him blush. Okay, young man, pick me up at my apartment 7:30 sharp. He suddenly appeared behind her and whispered into her ear. Will do, Kurenai-chan. Kurenai felt a blush creep up to her face as she could feel his chest against her back, his breath near her neck. She stepped away and left in a swirl of leaves. He was about to leave when he saw a paper mixed in the leaves. He looked at it. It was her address as he realized he only lived a block away from Kurenai. He then came to a realization. He didn't have any good clothes to wear except his training clothes, and he certainly was not wearing those. He realized he cloud asked the Hokage. He left in a swirl of leaves to the Hokage Tower. Hokage Tower. Naruto arrived in the Hokage's office, looked around and saw the Hokage was alone. Hey Gigi, I did as you asked and it kind of turned into a date, but I don't have anything to wear. Now Naruto, first I want to ask before you proceed, what do you think of Kurenai-san? Well, she is a nice person, a very beautiful woman. All in all, I like her. Now Naruto, are you doing this because I told you to or because you want to? Well, now that I think about it, it's because I want to. Good, now my boy, I know just the place where you can help. You do remember the Yamanaka in your graduating class? Ask her for help. I'm sure she will be happy to help. This is the address to her flowers store. After finding the shop and asking Ino for help with another half an hour of shopping, buying countless outfits, he finally decided on an outfit consisting of a black t-shirt with a golden dragon curled on the back and black pants and a red full-sleeve jacket. When it was almost 7:30, Naruto left his apartment with a bouquet of white roses surrounding a single red rose. Ino had told him it was a way of saying you are unique, but Naruto just thought it matched her name. He knocked on Kurenai's door only to come face to face with a purple-haired woman. She wore a mesh top with only a trench coat covering her chest. She also wore a rust-colored skirt with shin guards. She grinned at him and gestured for him to come in. She called out to Kurenai. Hey Kure-chan, you little blonde Adonis is here, the woman called out. I'll be right out, Anko, Kurenai replied. The woman, now known as Anko, grinned at him in a way that made him uncomfortable. She walked up to him and pulled out a kunai, held it to his throat and said in a menacing voice. I hear you try anything funny with her and I will torture you for 3 days. Not even the Hokage would stop me, understand? Naruto nodded furiously, not to piss off the woman. Sagaki, what's your name? My name's Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Wait, you are related to the 4th Hokage? Anko yelled. Yep, he's my dad. Wait, you are Naruto Uzumaki the container? Yes, he replied, a bit uncertain where this conversation was heading, but was relieved when Kurenai came out of her room. Naruto gasped at the sight. She was wearing a black low-cut dress only up to her thigh, showing generous amounts of her legs that seemed to go on forever. He looked up at her. Her dress accentuated her bust even more than the time he saw her in the towel. The room lighting made it look like she had a small blush on her porcelain face. All in all, Naruto seemed to think the woman before him looked like a goddess. Kurenai interrupted his trail of thought. Naruto, you are drooling, plus there is blood coming out of your nose. Kurenai gave Naruto a glance over. She seemed to like the way he was dressed, judging by the red blush on her face. Both their thoughts were interrupted as Anko called out to both of them. Hey, if you guys are done raping each other, maybe you should get going. Naruto blushed red, but Kurenai seemed to be used to it as she just sighed and linked her arm with his and dragged him away as Naruto seemed to snap out of his stupor. So Naruto-kun, where are we going? Well, I had Gigi help me with this, he said as he held up the reservation tickets for the Blazing Leaf. Kurenai gasped and stated that it was too expensive and started to make a fuss. Naruto tried to calm her down, but nothing he tried would work, so he would try a different method. He grabbed her by the waist and shunshin to the Hokage monument and held her close to him. He whispered into her ear, "You know, Kurenai, if you didn't want to go on a date with me you could have said so. Tell me even now, I'll take you back home and I can pretend it never happened." Naruto felt sad but knew it would be the right thing to do. Kurenai turned to him with pleading eyes and said, "I just don't want you to spend money on someone like me." Naruto looked her right in the eye. Crimson clawing with ocean blue. "And what is wrong with someone like you? You are a smart, kind and a very gorgeous woman. What if it's a one-time thing? Then we both know what it would end like. Don't feel scared just because of that one thing. Don't even think about saying that the age difference is too big, cause I know for a fact when you're a ninja it doesn't matter what age you are. So now tell me, do you want to go to the restaurant or do you want me to take you back home?" "Hi, let's go to the restaurant." Naruto shunshined them right in front of it. They had no problems getting in, but Naruto growled at the men that even looked Kurenai's way. Kurenai felt it was a nice gesture but could get out of hand, so she laced her hand with his and led him into a private booth. After ordering some food and making small talk, when the food came it looked delicious, but the problem was Naruto was holding up the waiter by the throat for making a comment at Kurenai's bust. Now Naruto was pissed, but Kurenai told him to let it, so he did, although a bit reluctantly. "I'm sorry for reacting like this," Kurenai waved it off by saying. "It was funny seeing his reaction, plus I found it cute that you would defend my honor like that." After the food arrived they ate in a comfortable silence. Naruto paid the bill using the Uzumaki account and gave the waiter a very good tip. It was a black eye and a broken nose. Walking out of the restaurant he turned to Kurenai. "Do you want to for a stroll around the park?" Quote, "Yes, I would love to. You know, Naruto-kun, this has been by far the best date I've ever had. All the other guy I've dated are pervs or just self-centered. Even better than the third son, but I think it's because he is a chain smoker. Really, I mean because of the way I reacted to the other guys looking at you, I was sure I ruined your mood. Well, I actually found it funny when they flinched away when you growled at them." As she was talking, Naruto spotted a swing in a tree. He grabbed her hand and led her to it and told her to sit down. He started pushing her and she kept telling him to push harder, not like "had you pervs." As soon as she jumped off, Naruto appeared to catch her. They both landed on the ground with a thud. They both soon realized that their mouths were connected, but this time Kurenai didn't pull away. Instead, she deepened the kiss, sliding her tongue across his bottom lip, asking for entry. As his mouth parted, his tongue lunged out at hers. They began a tongue war which finally came to a draw as they gasped for breath. They both felt content for now. Kurenai rested her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat as Naruto stroked her hair. "So Kurenai-chan, are we you know, boyfriend and girlfriend?" Naruto asked nervously. Does this answer your question?" as she gave him another kiss. Naruto smiled slyly and said, "I don't know, I think I need more convincing." He grinned slightly as he leaned in and gave her a kiss. This went on for a while. After another 5 minutes they got up. Kurenai shivered at losing her source of warmth. Naruto picked up on this and draped his jacket over her shoulders and held her by the waist. As they finally reached her apartment, he was slightly disappointed that it had to end now, but his disappointment vanished as she invited him in for some tea. He moved into the living room, getting comfortable on the couch as Kurenai came back with the tea. They both sat there sipping the tea as they glanced at each other through the corner of their eyes. Finally, when the tea finished, they both put their cups on the table. They were still glancing at each other, deciding that he had enough. Naruto moved to Kurenai and mashed his lips with hers. He had the feeling of complete euphoria. If Naruto died right now, he would die a happy man, not that he will or it will ruin the moment and the story. After a heavy make-out session, they both lied down on the couch, feeling content for the second time in the night. "You know, I have never been so relaxed with a man before," Kurenai stated. "Maybe that's because they were all pervs like you told me," Naruto said, a bit disgusted by the fact that they would judge a woman on her looks. "Oh, and you are saying you are not a pervert? May I remind you that I caught you staring at me while I walked out of the shower in only a towel, plus I still remember the time at the hot springs," Kurenai said. "I never said I wasn't, but I am not one to show my perversions in public, especially after what you did to my clone on when it took off running into the forest," Naruto replied. Naruto glanced at the clock. It was 11 p.m. He sighed. He turned to Kurenai and said, "I think I should be leaving now, it's pretty late. You know, you can sleep here if you want, it's not a problem for me at all." "Are you sure?" "Yeah, it'll be fine." Right, I'll sleep on the couch for tonight. No, you are not, now move into the bedroom. Kurenai thought she heard him faintly say, yes dear. This brought a blush to her face as thought of marrying Naruto seemed to give her a warm feeling. She got rid of such thoughts for now as she wanted to see how this relationship move along. As Kurenai moved towards the bedroom, she saw Naruto standing there clad in boxes. She blushed as she saw his muscles. She decided a little teasing was in order. So she moved like a ghost behind him and slipped her arms through from under his arms and ran her hand down his chest to the top of his box's waistband. Naruto decided that could play at this game. He turned around and cupped her face and her deeply aft. Being satisfied at her dazed expression, he moved his hands down and pinched her on the. Naruto felt satisfied at her reaction as she leapt up and wrapped her legs around his waist and eeped. Their teasing session turned into a heavy make-out session. After feeling exhausted, they promptly fell asleep as soon as they hit the bed, with Kurenai using Naruto, a large well-muscled teddy bear. They both sighed contentedly in their sleep. Naruto groaned as he woke up to a weight on his chest. He moved his head up to see Kurenai's face glowing in the sun. He looked at the clock on the wall to see it was 7:30 a.m. Wait, 7:30. They were late. Both of them were supposed to meet their teammates about 30 minutes ago. He tried to shake Kurenai awake, but to no avail. She seemed to be in a deep sleep. Suddenly he got a mischievous idea as he leaned closer and started her neck, moving to her jawline and moved his mouth over hers. Her eyes snapped open wide before relaxing into the. Naruto moved back and said, enjoying yourself there, Kurenai-chan, as he knew she was awake the whole time. Come on, we have to hurry or we will be too late to catch Kiba and Hinata, Naruto said as he moved away. Kurenai pouted at losing her source of warmth but looked at the clock and realized how late they really were. Naruto looked at her amazed. She was moving at a speed that made the Hiraishin look like a turtle. Damn, that's got to be a fast turtle. She finally appeared in front of him in her normal attire. While Naruto just gaped at her, she moved sensually towards him and kissed him on the cheek and left to make breakfast. Naruto looked for his normal attire and finally got dressed. Naruto moved into the living room and saw the woman from last night sitting on the couch, sipping some tea. She eyed him suspiciously and grinned slyly at Kurenai, almost shouting, "Hey Kurenai, it's only been one date and you are already getting him into bed. So how was he? Wild, passionate, rough?" Naruto caught the meaning and blushed red. Kurenai, used to her antics, just sighed and replied, "No Anko, we didn't do anything together, just lied in bed and fell asleep. Honestly, it was the best sleep I ever had. He makes a comfy pillow." She had a shade of light pink on her cheeks. The rest of the time was spent eating breakfast and making light chatter. Kurenai and Naruto rushed to finish. Kurenai was headed towards the door, but Naruto grabbed her by the waist and shunshined them to the training grounds. As they arrived at the scene, Kurenai kissed him one last time and started to part, but these actions were stopped by two gasps. Kurenai and Naruto snapped their heads at where the sound came from. It was Kiba and Hinata. Both of Naruto's teammates snapped out of their stupor as Hinata blushed red at catching them in such an intimate scene. Kiba grinned at Naruto and gave him a thumbs up, letting him know that he approved. Kurenai and Naruto sweat dropped at the scene. They decided to just move on with training. After a light spar and some chakra control exercises, they said the goodbyes and moved back home. This became a routine for the next 3 days until they could get the C-rank mission with Team 7. On these days, Kurenai slept at Naruto's house or invited Naruto over using the excuse that her pillow seemed to be missing. Naruto didn't seem to mind as he liked it even more as he spent more time with her. TIMESKIP First C-rank mission. In the Hokage's office, Team 7 and 8 stood at attention as the Hokage handed them the mission. Although there was some confusion with Team 7 when they saw Naruto looking older and in a Chunin vest, but it was cleared up when it was explained by Kakashi. The Hokage briefed them about the mission. They are guarding Tazuna, a bridge builder of Wave Country that wanted to be protected from bandits. The Junins stepped up and accepted their scroll. The Hokage asked to bring in the client that hired them. As soon as the door opened, the smell of alcohol seemed to bathe the man as Kiba and Akamaru cringed at the smell. The rest of the room looked at the man with disdain. He opened his mouth to say something but stopped when Naruto walked up to him and pushed some nature chakra into the man's blood vessels, pumping the alcohol out of him. Everyone looked amazed when the man suddenly sobered up and looked at the genin judgingly. "What's with all the brats? I thought I was getting ninjas, although in Cyclops there looks like he would fall over any minute, but there is that hot chick," Tazuna replied in a gruff voice. Suddenly the room temperature seemed to drop to 10 degrees below zero. Naruto vanished and appeared behind him holding a kunai to his throat. He spoke in a sickly sweet voice that made the Hokage cringe. Tazuna-san, I advise you don't make those comments at girlfriend, otherwise I will take away your manhood and then give you to her best friend who happens to be a T&I specialist. Do you know what T&I stand for, Tazuna-san? Tazuna, scared out of his wits, just shook his head for no. It stands for Torture and Interrogation Department, and her friend specializes in using snakes and poisons. Now for the rest of the trip you will not make perverted comments at my teammates or my sensei. Do we have an agreement? Tazuna nodded quickly, not to face the wrath of the blonde behind him. Naruto smiled at their agreement and the room temperature went back to the normal and all of the people in the room let out a breath they had been holding. Naruto turned to the Hokage and asked, "So Gigi, are we do?"